peace once again, my fellow expressions of consciousness. You may have heard the popular biblical verse, words to the effect of God made man in his image. Is this true? Yes, actually. Leave religion to the side. Religion is a system. It is not synonymous with truth. The perspective I'm going to give you does not rely on religion at all. It relies on the verse, the book. So, we have to first, this is overlooked by religious people, we have to understand the nature of mind, how mind functions. Mind can only know reality relative to its limits. What is its limits? Fundamentally, mind can only know separation. It can only know there is it and something else, this and that. It lives in time as well. It needs concepts. These are some of the limitations of mind. So for mind to understand truth, it has to go the long way round using concepts, which is often a fun way too. So understand the words are pointing to truth, but mind has to filter it using concepts. So this concept of God being a being that has its own mind, and in that mind is an image of you, is a useful tool to help your mind. As I said many times before, God is not actually a being, but as I've just explained now, the mind needs to believe that. Needs to believe something in a conceptual way. So let's go with this. Understanding that this is poetically spoken. God has an image in his mind or her mind. You are that image. This doesn't mean you, your body, is the same image that is God's body. No. You are just an image within God's mind, amongst other images. What this points to is this reality we call the waking state, we call the world, is not the true reality. It's a senses reality. This reality relies heavily on sense perceptions. We say we are the senses. I touched that. I saw that. I heard that. We say we are the senses. Let's call this dimension S. S dimension. But we see, even in this waking state, that is not so, that the senses are the true reality here. Because the senses come and go. The senses are seen themselves. Seen, so to speak, not by eyes. You don't use eyes to see eyes. You don't use eyes to see seeing. Seeing is just another concept. But that which sees seeing, so to speak, sees hearing, sees the senses, is aware of the senses, to use another word, knows the senses, to use another term. That, by definition, I suggest, must be devoid of the limits of those senses. Why? Because this or that is aware of the senses, the sense of seeing, hearing, taste, smell, touch, that is always present, whether a sense is known or not, whether the sense is happening or not. This knows, this awareness knows that senses have stopped, that hearing was good, hearing is now bad. That is aware of that change. So it doesn't shed the limits. It didn't become bad when the hearing got bad. Do you see? So it is a more true reality, or a more essential, I should say, aspect of reality than the senses. If this is too hard to see right now, which is fine, you can just use your experience of sleep. When you are not dreaming, you are not aware of the senses at all. Right? So again, that which is aware that there are no senses happening or perceiving or doing anything is always present. It's present when senses are happening, it's present when senses are not happening, not being used. So this dimension S, this sense reality, is a reality. It's true, it's real, but it's not the truest reality. It's not the realist reality. It's a reality. We're going to go really deep in this video. You may not have heard this perspective on the original Bible verse I quoted earlier. Furthermore, let's do an experiment. Please, if you will, think of a person. Any person. Now think of an animal. Any animal. Now think of a place for them to be in. Any place. Now, using reason, is it not true that they owe their entire existence, their entire world, their entire universe to you? They had no existence until you, your mind, created them. They are now an image of you. An image of your mind. You are their God. Right now, if you will, make that animal and that person do a little dance together. I can do it right now. I can right now imagine a cheetah driving a Lamborghini on water. I created that. They are my image. They owe their whole existence to me. Me meaning my mind. But, going back to you, those characters in your mind, you can make them talk. You can make them listen to music. You can make them have kids, not with each other. But they can never, as much as they know their world, they can never know you, the creator. They can never turn around and see what is aware of them. Yet they know they exist. They have no reason to believe they don't exist. But you know, their reality is a reality, not the reality. Because you are aware, you are that constant in their universe, in their world. There always needs to be something constant for an experience to play out. You have to constantly be thinking of them for their experience to play out. Unless you want to go into a huge belief and say that these characters you created in your mind also exist when you're not thinking of them. Where that would be, that's up to you to go crazy on, because it's not worth it. It's not true. In that it's not your direct experience. So, the same way they cannot know their creator, you, but they know they exist only with their limits in their perception. You owe your existence to the creator, yet you know you exist with your limits of sensations, the mind. It's the same. They are an image in your mind, you are an image in God's mind. They can't see you, you can't see God. From their perspective, you are not tangible. They can't find you anywhere. And they'll be right, because the mind is not tangible. But here's the thing. They are the mind. They're not actually separate characters inside their mind. They believe they are separate characters inside the mind, but no. As you know, all in that world is the mind, is your thought. So their sense of separation is completely illusory. The sense of separation only occurs because they believe they are an individual consciousness, they are the individual thoughts. But this, of course, is not the actual reality, it's a reality for them. It's a perspective. So how can they reconnect, so to speak, with the fact that they are the whole mind? As you see, I do quotes when I say reconnect, because you know, from your perspective, they are already the mind, these characters. So from their perspective, for them to reconnect to the knowing that they are the mind, what must they do? They must cease to connect with thought, their thoughts. They must become still, they must become silent. What does that mean? That simply means not reaching out and grabbing a thought and saying, it's mine, it's my thought, I thought that. It's not the truth, as you know, as the dreamer of them, the creator of them. Once they stop identifying with thoughts that they believe are their own, what are they left with? They're left with not being a separate self. Because you are a separate self because of thought, your belief, the attachment to thought. So they cease being a separate self and just become being. In that being, they're now one of the whole mind. Because they're not saying, I am a this and there is a animal. They're not saying anything actually, they're just silent, they're just being. In the same way in this, stepping back out of the dream, same way in this reality, for you to know so-called God, for you to know the truth, let's call it dimension T, dimension truth, you have to be silent, you have to stop reaching out and attaching to a thought and saying, it's mine, I thought it, because it's not true. This moment exists within that which you cannot know with the senses, but you can know when you cease identifying with thought and actions even, which is karma. This is my karma. No, actions are just happening. I did a video on karma, by the way, if you wish to see it already. So do you see, these characters are images in your mind. You are an image in God's mind. Now, of course, I've said many times before, God is not a being. I'm not saying it's a being in a religious sense. It's not a being at all. For if it was a being, then the question would then be, what is aware of it? No. God is just all there is. Just like all there is to that dream your characters had was the mind. That's all they had. Sorry, that's all there was to the dream, your mind. So it's all God. There is no hierarchy, apart from if a character in the dream said, I'm a king. But the substance of all of them is the dream. Same here, the substance of all of this, the senses, our bodies, is what we call awareness, or what we call consciousness. It's single. We can't see it because we are it. We are it. Just as a dream character cannot see the mind because it is it. It is the mind. Super Mario on your Game Boy cannot see the screen because it is the screen. The pictures in your comic books cannot see the pages because they are the pages. When they cease trying to look for a page, they just become the page. When you cease trying to look for God, you just become the truth. I don't want to make this video too long. It's one of the longest ones, I think. I hope you understand more. Hope this gives you more perspective on what you being an image of God means. Not your body is the same as God's body. No, I've explained earlier. To help the mind understand it, it needs, I should say, concepts, and the concepts help it. You are that truth, but only when you're not thinking that you are not. Have a wonderful day or evening. Please like, share or subscribe this video. That would help me. My fellow expressions of consciousness, of truth. Peace.